Oh, that's the wrong one. It is the Blue Room. It is the weekly show. If you're waiting for us on YouTube, apologies. Dave Downey's not here, but I was late today. So I'll take full responsibility for that. I've kept Sarah and Jake waiting. And Mike the Ash is also having issues getting into the meeting, so he's going to join us in a bit. But as you can see, if you're watching us on YouTube, two smiling faces, Jake and Sarah, both no doubt absolutely buzzing about the win last night. And Jake, it's great to have you on, mate, because it feels as though you're sort of the one that's got to pick us up whenever we've been beaten, because it's, I think every time you come on this season, it's been after a loss, and it's not by design or anything, mate. It's just happening.
I mean, I just feel like after the Newcastle game, I was like, it's weird that Matt hasn't been in touch. I just assumed that you were waiting for the Man United game before I got an email. So I got an email today. I was like, absolutely, yeah, let's talk good, happy stuff.
There we go. And always talking good, happy stuff. Sarah Halpin, how are you doing, mate?
Oh, very, very well after last night's win. Like you just said there, I think, the smiling faces speak for themselves. It's mad. Well, it's not mad. We know how much Everton's results impact on our mood. I think in all this more so than ever. And obviously, it was pretty dire, wasn't it, on the weekend? So we needed to bounce back, and what a great way to do it. And we're all buzzing again. So yeah, it's great.
Absolutely, all buzzing very much. We will go into that game from last night in a lot of detail before we turn attentions to Old Trafford on Saturday, where literally anything could happen. It feels like, with them scoring 9 in midweek and us being on the way, well, on track for a fifth consecutive win in the Premier League. And Mike the Asher is just coming into the meeting now. There he is for those of you on YouTube who've been waiting. Just doing introductions. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm all right. Can you hear me?
Can hear you loud and clear, mate. Yeah.
There you go. Brilliant. Had to work eventually, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But just saying, everyone's in a good mood after last night. How are you feeling about it?
I was sound up until 5 minutes ago when my PC decided to start being an absolute mess. But yeah, but it's nice when the Toffees do a nice Toffees thing, isn't it?
It is very nice. And yeah, we'll start with, I'll come to you first, Jake, because, you mentioned that Newcastle game and how you were expecting the call because of how miserable it was in that sense. But this team just, I said the word bewildering. Well, couldn't really say it then. Bewildering. I got it in the end last night on the post-match a lot. And this Everton team is just a bit like that, isn't it? You lose against Newcastle. I didn't really give them a chance going into the game last night. I felt Leeds were a terrible matchup for us. They've been playing pretty well. And just when you feel as though they're on the cusp of a bad run and the season might start to unravel a little bit, they pull out a result like that.
Yeah, I mean, in many ways, I think Leeds were possibly the worst team we could have faced, or the prospect of playing Leeds after the game on whenever it was against Newcastle. And I don't know, I've thought long and hard about what is it against teams like Newcastle. What is it? It's not the fans. The fans aren't there. The players have changed. The managers changed. What is it? And I don't actually know, and I'm sure you've kind of gone over that when you were talking about the Newcastle match. But what the difference was last night, I thought, was we've got a manager who made decisions, like right decisions, like leaving James out because I think the pace of Leeds, but he demanded something of those players last night. And you've got to hold our hands up. We all were slagging off Gylfi the other day. Gomez has been coming in for some stick, but yesterday they stood up and they really stepped up and they performed. And they, if they didn't, not only would we have been run ragged anyway, but the decision by Carlo Ancelotti to not play James, to stick with Gylfi, we'd have been calling for Everton here. But they stepped up, and I think it's because we've got a manager who demands them to do that. Why they don't do that against other teams, I don't know. But I don't know. I just felt like yesterday was a reaction, and I think we've seen a Carlo Ancelotti who was a lot more animated than what we have seen in the past. There was a bit when he absolutely went mad at Dominic because he didn't give it to Richarlison, and actually that was out of character of the Carlo Ancelotti we've seen. And I don't know, I just feel like it might have just been, like when your mum and dad say, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. I feel like maybe that's what happened, and they were like, yeah, we've got to react here. And it was very much like the Wolves game not long ago when we just didn't expect anything. And it was horrible to watch at times, but it's a type of game that you would look back and you would watch it time again, because I think in many ways it was a bit of a masterclass of how to play against teams like that. And what I really, really love about Everton this season is that you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know, because we change, and we've got, how many times have we talked about not having a plan B? We've got like a plan C, D, E, F. We adapt, and that's what you're meant to do. So it's a hard season in some ways because it's frustrating, but I honestly think it's a joy to watch us sometimes, like games like last night.
Yeah, certainly a lot of fun. And I think Jake makes a really interesting point there, Sarah, about the manager's reaction after Newcastle, and sort of saying it's like that parent who says, you're not angry, you're disappointed, because it sort of feels as though you've always got that one parent who's quite calm and doesn't lose the cool. And when they're pissed off at you, you know you've done something really wrong then. And you think, oh God, if that parent's annoyed, then I am in the shit here. I've done a very big bad thing. And it was a bit like that with the manager, wasn't it? Because Carlo doesn't lose it very often. He doesn't come out and the only other time he's been that harsh on the players is the Wolves game. Even when we threw a 2-goal lead away against Newcastle in the last minute, he was like, well, that's football, these things happen. But he went after them on Saturday after that Newcastle game. And I think when you don't go after people as often, it has a bigger impact, and it probably resonates more with those players then.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely spot on. And you often see these things in management, don't you? Like good cop, bad cop kind of thing. And by no means do I think that Ancelotti's soft. I think I think they've probably seen that side to him a lot more, but that he's maybe a little bit more composed when he's out there on the touchline. And he is such a friendly, warm, charismatic guy. And you can imagine that Duncan is quite often bad cop going in to, tell him exactly what's what. But I loved seeing that. And I think a lot of Evertonians will have loved seeing that, when he came out and kind of condemned the performance against Newcastle, rightly so. It was awful. It was a real task to watch that game. It was about the worst I've seen us for, I couldn't tell you, a long time. And it needed a reaction. And, like Jake said, it demanded a kind of reaction, and we got one. And, I think we were so well organised, so well drilled in everything, that the plan in making sure, man for man, we were on it. Defensively, I think we would have all felt a lot better going in half-time 2-0. I thought, this should be a fairly relaxed second half. If we can keep them out for the first 5 minutes. But honestly, I'd gone downstairs to make a cup of tea. I got a text off my mate saying, for sake, and I was like, oh no, you're messing. Come up, see it's 2-1. And I thought, oh, well, that's it now. It's going to be a stressful second half. But everything that Leeds threw at us, we matched defensively. I think the Corey was superb. Sigurdsson was brilliant. Robert Olsen was brilliant. Ben Godfrey, I know we'll go on to have a separate chat about him because he's just ridiculous. But it was great, and I think we needed that disappointed Ancelotti, and then followed up, as Jake said, when he went to play. Dom should have played Richie in, and he had quite a poor shot, I think it's fair to say. And Ancelotti's just going absolutely bollow on the sidelines, and then next thing you know, Dom scored and he's giving it the little cheeky. But that's what you want, and that's the way to make amends as well. He should have put Richarlison through, didn't. That could have been 2-0, but a couple of minutes later it's 2-0, and Ancelotti's smiley and calm again. So yeah, brilliant result last night.
Yeah, Mike, I know you couldn't watch the game last night because of work, and you watched it today, but you knew the result beforehand. It'd be interesting to get your thoughts on what you picked out. What were your main takeaways from it, really, having known the results and then watching it again?
Do you know what? I'm really glad that I didn't have the time to watch it while doing work, because I think I would have had about 7 cardiac arrests. I would not have been able to do either. It's a strange one, actually, but one of the things I picked up was really negative. It was straight away. It was, I know that set pieces have got a lot of praise recently. One thing I did notice was teams seem to be picking up on the fact that they can have success if one player seems to drop forward towards the ball from a set piece and sort of glance the header and take all the pace with the balls. Callum Wilson hit the bar with it, then he scored with it. And about 5 minutes into this game, Leeds had a really good chance with a really similar chance. And I'm just thinking, that's one of those things you look at and you go, kind of hope that's being worked on. But Jake made a really good point before that sort of gives me a little bit of hope in that respect. It's the word adaptation. Because it's about adapting. I think that this game was about Carlo Ancelotti learning lessons from the opposite game, because this was not like the game at Goodison Park, even though Everton did go toe-to-toe for about 25 minutes and really try and just double up with Leeds and go, right, we'll man for man and we will just out-attack you and let's do it because we can defend better. And that was the key to the game, was having the faith in your defensive unit to know that when you do score a goal, because we were going to score, because that was just the way the system was going to be. When you do score a goal, you've got to defend well. And I think that was the difference in the game. One side defended better than the other. I thought it was an excellent game, to be honest with you. Two teams really, really wanted to win it. But yeah, at the end of the day, one side defended a little bit better and Everton come out of there with just the most valuable 3 points that we all could have imagined. I think out of these two games, Leeds away and Newcastle at home, if you said 3 points, you go, yeah, okay, fair enough. But I didn't think it'd be this way around, let me tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right about the defensive play, and we'll start there with the player that Sarah mentioned earlier, Jake, in Ben Godfrey. And the mad thing about this, and I've still been trying to get my head around this all day today, that was the first time in the Premier League this season, first time for Everton in the Premier League, that he started in a back two, in a centre-back pairing. And, he's played as a back three, he's played left back for a long time, now played right back early on in his Everton tenure. And he was dropped into there, and he just looked the absolute business from minute one.
Joe, we spoke before the cup game a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about how it would be good to see Ben Godfrey play in his actual position. I don't know what his actual position even is now, because he literally can play anywhere, and like I'm certain that you could play him in midfield and he'd be running the show. He's and this is a type of, maybe he is that type of utility player that we've lacked, really, where somebody drops out, you need somebody to be able to step up and be able to play that role and take that role on. And I don't think we ever would have thought when we got him that he would be playing half as much as what he has done, never mind play as well as he does. And I think when we played Newcastle, you noticed a difference in changing that system. You've got a player there who wants to play, which I always think is absolutely crucial. You've got a player who's desperate for minutes, desperate to be on there, always wants the ball. He's always looking. And then his pace and his strength, he's just, I think he's an incredible player. I hope that we can allow him to develop as well, not put too much pressure on him. Not, if we can kind of give him that time, he can only go from strength to strength. And I think ironically, he's having such a massive impact on all the other players around him who you would think are going to be the leaders and the people who are more experienced, but he's having that impact on them. It's confidence. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think and I totally agree with what Jake's saying there, Sarah, in regards to not putting too much pressure on him, but it's hard not to get excited and talk about this lad, isn't it, when he puts in performances like that. And it's the things like that 70-yard run out of defence, to get Everton up the pitch. And, I think Dave on the post-match last night said he's already playing at an elite level as regards to how he's concerned. He's already looking like a player that could play for a Champions League team. And that's testament to him, to come into a new club, to be moved around the back four, back five, and to thrive in how he has done. I think it shows not only is he good football, but he's definitely got it between his ears as well.
He has, and such a young lad as well. He really is still so young, and I think, as you said, it's that consistency. And again, if this podcast isn't the title, something to do with adapting, because again, it's it's that thing. Ben Godfrey is coming, and that's exactly what he's done. He's played in every position, and like you saying that's the first time he started in a centre back pairing is crazy when you think of how well he's done. And it's every game, it's consistent. It's consistency. He's consistently, probably the best player on the pitch or one of the best players on the pitch, and time and again that he's going to deliver. You feel better when he's on the pitch. I did a podcast earlier in the week where I was being asked about Everton and the Newcastle game, and I said, I think one of the main things we were missing was Ben Godfrey, even though he's like Jake just said, he's can pick the ball up on the edge of his box and carry it straight to the other box. You know, he's direct. He's never going to give up. He'll have a look up, and he's just like a bulldozer going through people, and you think no one's stopping him here. And then last minute, if you know that you need someone to come in with a last ditch like tackle, header, whatever it is, you always fancy that he's going to pop up there and he's going to be there. He's all over the park. He's class, and he's one of the best centre backs I've seen play forever. And he's, when you think how little really we've seen of him, like you said, and I totally agree with what Jake's saying, we need to allow him to develop. But it's so hard not to get excited when you see such a talent. And you look at the signings we've brought in: Decore, Alan, James Rodriguez. And I think we've needed all of them. But Ben Godfrey now is sort of becoming that one that everyone's saying he's that the signing of the summer. You know, absolute quality. We're better when he's on the pitch. I think he's got to be, you know, probably, again, the system will change from time to time. We need it to, but we're just better with him inside. And once we got that first goal and went 2-0 up, you sort of think this team is not conceding two. It's disappointing to concede a goal so early in the second half, but defensively, yeah, we feel sound. So Ben Godfrey. Who was it? Is it Les who put God Benfrey? Quality, that absolute quality. And you know, he's just been ridiculous, hasn't he?
Mike?
Usually when you don't know a player's position, it's for a very, very bad reason, and it's because they're ineffective everywhere all over the pitch and they don't have enough of an impact. Ben Godfrey's got the opposite problem. He's effective anywhere he plays. He will do his job at an 8 to 9 out of 10 standard and will make an impact, a very positive impact on the game. I haven't seen him make very many mistakes as well. For a player who's playing all over the place, you'd completely expect them to drop out of position or make a couple of positional errors here and there. I don't think I've seen it very often. There's a couple of bits last night playing centre-half, I think. When Bamford hits the top of the bar with a cross, he loses him a little bit. Just those sorts of things are going to need tightening up if he's going to play centre-half. But again, he's a young lad. He's got a long, long way to go and he's still learning. He's thrown down the gauntlet now in the sense that he should be in the team every week, because it's hard to describe why, because he is so effective, but he's not scored a goal. Yesterday he got his first assist, which fair dues, well done. But that's not his job. And you usually think if there's a player that's so young, you don't rely on them in that sense in the back half of the pitch. It's usually further forward and you get just little bits here and there of goals, assists. You look at someone like Mason Greenwood, who had a really just an impact at United because he could chip in with those goals and assists and be involved. And Ben Godfrey sort of the same, but the opposite end of the pitch. He's not scoring, he's not assisting, but he's doing everything right. And when you've got a player like that who will give you a guaranteed 7 out of 10 week in, week out, doesn't matter how good or bad the team is, then that's really, really valuable. And when you can move that player from defensive midfielder, centre-back, right-back, left-back, who knows? Let's just whack him up front and see what happens then. See if he can give us another. Do you know what I mean? It's such a valuable trait to have in a player, that he can be so versatile and flexible, but be so consistent with his performances. And it's, as I say, it's not just his ability; it's everything he brings in terms of the ethic and the ethos and just his mentality. I think someone put it on Twitter yesterday, was if Everton fans could build a player, it would be Ben Godfrey.
Yeah.
And it really would. It's just that sense of the intelligence, the maturity, the youthful energy, and just being absolutely hard as nails. Yeah. Just everything about him. Just it's Everton personified, and he just needs to be in that team. And you look at that United game, and you're like, yeah, you've got to start. Got to start against the Reds as well. Got to start against the City. You've got to do all of those games, and you've got to be involved. And you hope he is.
So like a really weird image then of that Build-A-Bear shop in town, but with Everton players.
There's just about 95,000 Aidan McGeady sat on the shelf, not being touched.
Not been touched for years. But I just sort of think about him, like, you're right, Mike, you know, defenders shouldn't really have that big an impact, but I reckon every other lad when he's playing is made up. And if you're playing in a position next to him, whether you're a midfielder in front of him, a goalkeeper behind him, a centre-back when he's at right back, a centre-back when he's at left back, wherever, he must be a dream to have near you on the football pitch, because it's not just his, his pace must get him out. I think he said about that thing with Bamford, his positioning probably is the one thing you'd say still needs to improve a little bit, but his pace and his speed get him out of so many issues. And I think if you're Luca Dean last night and you've got him tucked in a centre back on the left side of centre back, you can go up the pitch because you've got an absolute freight train. You can cover the space behind you, and I think it's those things. And when you've got a player on your team who makes a 70-yard run up the pitch, emerges from the ball with 3 players converging and plays it out wide, you must just get a big lift. I think it's those little intangible things as well, which he does so well.
Well, I think when you look at the way he's played next to the 2 centre halves, and I think you've got to add Mason Holgate into this as well. That we spoke about just how much Michael Keane and Yerry Mina missed one, if not both of them, against Newcastle next to them. As you say, it's as much about what they bring. It's just about the mentality of knowing that those players are there, knowing that if the ball's coming over the top, you've got someone there who understands that centre half's going to need you here. He's going to need you, so you need to be there and ready for it. And they really did miss that. And it's given Everton so many options as well. You look at what really interests me is Carlo Ancelotti seems to really, really relish and enjoy the fact that you can have a right back or a left back there that can slide across as a third centre half and cover. Because what I keep noticing is you'll have moments in a game where it'll be Michael Keane, it might be Yerry Mina, it might be Ben Godfrey, and we saw all 3 of them do it yesterday, where they'll surge forward about 20 yards up the pitch and just try and just run with it as they can, try and find a pass, keep going, and usually they'll find a pass at the end or win a free kick or do something. But at the other end of the pitch, you see Mason Holgate slide across, you see Alex Obi slide back a little bit, and it still stays as a rigid system, but they all seem to know exactly what they're doing, which as an Everton fan, I find that incredible. Not having players know what they are doing. I know it sounds rudimentary and a bit stupid, but it's not something we've had for a long time, is well-drilled coach players in an attacking and a defensive sense, fluidly know exactly where they've got to be and what they've got to do. It's just a breath of fresh air.
Jake, were you going to make a point there, mate? Sorry.
Well, yeah, although I agree, and although he probably does know what he's doing, my bottle goes every time Yerry Mina runs up there. I don't know if it's the way he runs. I don't know what it is, but I'm like, just just pass it now. Like every time he goes that little bit further, I'm like, just pass it now, seriously. So my heart was in my mouth yesterday, but that's what a good team does, and that's what we've not really done, is having the confidence in it. You go, I'll fill in, and we've done it in bits and bobs, but not as slick. And just what we were saying about Godfrey and the pace of Godfrey, and like the pace of Dominic Calvert-Lewin at the moment as well. If we can start getting pace injected into this team, then you can have other players like James Rodriguez, who doesn't necessarily have the pace, just in there and just controlling it and spraying this ball across. So, if you actually look at the starting 11, our strongest starting 11, we've got some real quality in there now, and it's just about bringing in those others. But you might be bringing it up, Matt, but I just want to say, I probably wouldn't have give Godfrey man of the match. For me, it was Decore, and I think he is an absolutely outstanding footballer, and he is just everywhere on that pitch. He is everywhere, and I think we ummed and ahed about when we got him and talked about his age and talked about different things, but what a player he is. And I think he's the type player that I can't really think of a player quite like him that we've had in many years. And he just adds a totally new dimension of just that assurance and that kind of confidence right across the team, I think.
Yeah, he properly deserved an assist last night, didn't he, Sarah, for that? I mean, that if you could pick a bit of play to sum up Decore at his best, it's that, isn't it? Winning it on the edge of his own box, going through the phases and playing a pass. When he is at full flight and in great form, those are the things he does so well. Probably should do it a little bit more often, but I just felt dead sorry for him when Dom hit that straight to the keeper, because it would have been a great goal.
Oh, I know, exactly. And he deserved it as well. As you said, it's not just the last ditch tackles and stuff. He is that box to box. But he's technically so gifted as well, as you say, like those little intricate passes and things he does. He's brilliant. And I'm glad Jake brought him up, actually, because I think, he has kind of gone under the radar. When you've got someone like Ben Godfrey who's just doing ridiculous things on a football pitch every week, it's pretty unfortunate for Decore. I think Robert Olsen as well obviously made a few really important saves, especially in that second half yesterday. But yeah, Decore's been fantastic, and it's like I said earlier, you're looking at Godfrey now as maybe the signing out of all them. But as I said, we needed all them signings. You look at how important Hammers has been. There's games where Hammers is just dictating the entire game. When he's on it, you've got Decore, Elland we've missed massively. How exciting it is to see him come back in as well. And then Ben Godfrey and Decore. So I just think, yeah, the players that we've brought in have all made such a massive difference. And just on that, Josh King as well, obviously he come on towards the end, but I think, we talk about pace and stuff like that. He could add another sort of dimension and help in that sense with the pace that he's going to bring to the team. But it did make me laugh because, like, straight after the game, like, put a tweet out or whatever, and I'd already had a comment of someone saying, Josh King didn't look that fast, just saying. And it's like, here we go.
Right after 2 minutes, yeah. I see
be honest.
People having to go with Tom Davies as well. I was like, oh, come on, just have a day off.
Yeah, I know. I thought he was sound when he come on, Tom. I think... But no, Decore, what a player. As Jake said, he's just a fantastic footballer and somebody that goes under the radar. But when he's not playing, you don't half notice as well.
Yeah. Just quickly, Mike, before I come to you, Neil on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, let us know who you thought was your man of the match. Loads of contenders last night, obviously. So got to agree on Decore. I don't think he's had a bad game since he joined. He's played every game in the Premier League apart from Leicester when he was suspended. And I think, Mike, if we go back to the start of the season and I asked for predictions on Everton's player of the year, you picked Abdoulaye Decore, didn't you? And he's slowly creeping up into that conversation, I'd say.
He is. He's doing his best. He's doing his best, isn't he? He is absolutely everything that we moaned week in, week out that we didn't have last year. And he's everything that I hated about playing against Watford. Was him and Etienne Capoue had all of the skills to do anything. Both of them. They worked in a tandem. They were able to defend, able to attack, able to play smart passes, able to score goals, able to do anything. And he's just brought it. Just hasn't changed, hasn't done it. Just brought it. And it's so nice to have that sort of player there because what you said there, Matt, I thought was quite interesting. He needs to do it more often. He hasn't had the chance to. Because we've played with no holding midfielder, he's had to do a lot more covering because James Rodriguez has been playing on the right-hand side. He's had to sort of fill in as an auxiliary defensive right winger at point. It's an interesting role and one that he's taken to like duck to water. But I do agree, it'll be really interesting to see what happens when you get Allen back into the side. What happens maybe in a month and a half when JP Gabama maybe starts playing a few games in that anchor role if he can do. And you suddenly have Alan in his actual position, which is sort of similar to how Decore plays. And both of them can sort of have that license to go a little bit further, but also rein it a little bit. Because that midfield three, if it can ever work, would truly be very, very strong. And Everton would suddenly be in a very, very healthy position there. But just on Calvert-Lewin as well, that chance, it would have been lovely for Decore to get that assist. It was well worked. It was brilliant. And it was lovely to see Calvert-Lewin absolutely busting a gut to try and get there. But that finish was the finish was a player who was knackered, and you could see that. That was someone. He's flung his leg at that because he's so tired. He's worked so hard to get there. He's put graft in for 90 minutes, and thank God they managed to bring in a striker because you don't want to be seeing that in 6-7 weeks, 95th minute when he needs a chance to go in. Him to be that tired again because they're the moments when we're really going to need them. Thank God it didn't matter that much yesterday, but it's going to matter in the future. So thank God you've got a little bit of backup now.
Yeah, I think as well. I remember watching that chance back on Match of the Day last night, and just sort of going back to Decore again. When Calvert-Lewin misses it, I think a lot of players in that situation would be like, hands on the head, slumped down, gutted. He just sort of throws his hands up a bit and then turns around and starts running back the other way. So it's absolutely nothing. And to still be that energetic at that point in the game against a team like that is quite incredible. Just one other thing on the midfield. Good to mention Andre Gomes. Thought had his best half in a while, the first half last night. But the last player I wanted to speak about before we go on to United, I'll come to you first on this one, Mike, and then Sarah and Jake, feel free to follow on. Feels as though for probably the first time since he joined the football club that Robin Olsen is on a par with, if not ahead of Jordan Pickford in the pecking order now. And, last night he was, some people say he was man of the match. He made 3 great saves after making a mistake himself, it has to be said. But it does just feel as though things are a little bit calmer when he's there.
Absolutely. You can notice the difference in the kicking between the two keepers instantly. And when you have Jordan Pickford and his pretty above average kicking, you are going to notice that. But the goalkeeper's job is to keep the ball out of the net at the end of the day. And he's laid a claim to the starting position. I think it's his to lose now. Every time he's come into the side, he's done his job. Even when he has made a mistake, it hasn't been fatal. Hasn't really conceded any glaring errors, and he's made big saves, saving the things he should save and saving them well, punching them far and punching them wide, catching what he can. And he's come up with those big plays that the best goalkeepers do. And that's what you expect from an experienced goalkeeper. It's sort of like the Sergio Romero situation at Manchester United when David De Gea wasn't really firing. They could always rely on a very experienced international backup who will be there to push him on and get his head right. And you'd hope that's what will happen with Jordan Pickford. But if not, it looks like Everton have got a serviceable number 1 to actually step up now, which is a far cry from what they've known before.
Yeah, I think like you said as well about the mistake, because I'm watching the telly and obviously the mistake from the back where he plays it into a really dangerous area, and I'm there thinking, fuming. But it's what you do straight after that, isn't it? And whereas, you've got the potential to lose your head then and be flustered and panic, which is what we've seen this season through, with Jordan, unfortunately. It was big to see him come back and make, 3 point blank really top saves. That's how you make up for a mistake. That's what you do. Mistakes are going to happen. It's how you respond. And I think him doing that then, and what that must just do for your defenders, thinking, okay, look, he's going to pull them out the bag. And like Mike said, it's doing the simple things well. Yes, absolutely, about the kicking. We know that his kicking's not the same as Jordan Pickford, but it's about making sure that they're not putting the ball in the back of the net when he needs to come out and punch it away. If he's not sure to get it out, he's been a breath of fresh air. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised now. I kind of wouldn't be surprised either way who he goes with for the weekend. But
I don't know if he's going to be fit, is he? I think he's out for a couple of weeks.
Oh, is he with his? Oh, so well. Then there you go. Then it will be Olsen then, and I certainly don't feel upset about it. I feel pretty good about it, which is about as high a compliment as an Everton fan can give a goalkeeper. I think, to be honest, since Neville Southall. So yeah, maybe Nigel Martin as well.
And that's one thing that you just look at straight away and think it takes a talking point away. It takes a point of contention. Just gets rid of it, because it's been the elephant in the room for a good 2 years now. Is when's Jordan Pickford going to make the next mistake? When's he going to when's he going to drop a clanger? Oh well, there you go, it's happened again. Should he be starting for England? And it removes that entire conversation, that uncertainty, and just that narrative goes away, gone. Yeah. I'm sure that matters as much for defenders as it does for us, because not having those angsty issues of thinking, oh, what if it's today? That must surely play into the defenders' minds. It's got to be a big thing when it isn't there.
I mean, I totally agree with everything. I think we've got a player there who's confident. He's in form. I don't think he's, as I said, little mistakes are going to happen. But I don't think he's really put a foot wrong since he's been here. Every game he's played in, I felt quite confident. And I actually, I've always backed Jordan Pickford, but I think I probably feel a little bit more confident and calm myself when Olsen's in goal, and this is his chance. He's probably going to be playing for the contract. If he likes it here, he's going to be wanting to be signed. So yeah, I've got absolutely no qualms at all about him starting against United.
And finally, on last night's game, before we can't speak about United, that pitch, I don't think I've ever seen as many players fall on their arse as much in 90 minutes as that. It was insane, wasn't it?
Joke. It was like, if it wasn't for the fact that it was Everton, so I was obviously very emotionally invested, then it would have been hilarious. But I was just like fuming all the time, and you were scared all the time, obviously, how direct and fast and quick Leeds come at you, you're thinking, Yerry's going to end up on his backside here, or Mason's over, and on the flip side, when we're on the attack, you're thinking someone's going to go to pull the trigger and be. It was, I mean, if someone was playing a drinking game, I bet someone started doing that at some point somewhere in the country. People started drinking when someone ended up on their arse. I bet you, and I bet they had a great time.
Would have needed a lot of ale to play that properly.
They certainly would, yeah. Certainly would. Terrible.
It was ridiculous. Go on, Mike. Sorry. Oh, you muted, Mike. Your microphone's not on. Yeah.
Always going to happen. It happens every time, doesn't it?
We do it live, mate, isn't it? You know, these things happen.
I know. It was almost dangerous to some extent. Like, I'm surprised nobody ended up with a serious non-contact injury. Generally, that sort of thing. If they don't get that sorted, that will happen in a Leeds home game quite soon. Within the next couple of weeks, someone will go down with a really serious injury there. So, yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me a bit of that video. I don't know if you've seen it, of the people at a festival where they're walking back. Everyone's just waiting for them to go. Sarah knows which one I'm talking about.
I do. Some old Glastonbury stuff. It was mad to watch. It felt like they'd been pranked, like someone had gone out there and put oil on the boots or so. The turf was just tearing up. You know, when you'd see a zoomed in picture, it was just coming up into it. And as you know, as Mike says, though, in all seriousness, someone will end up doing something dodgy on that pitch if it doesn't improve, because it was insane.
They bought it off Spurs, haven't they? Honestly, yeah, because Spurs have got a couple of pitches at the new ground which they can swap in for the NFL. This one was supposed to be an NFL pitch, but because they've had no NFL games, they just sort of got weird to say. They've just got a spare pitch knocking around.
I mean, there's been
the receipt, man.
there's been loads of ACL injuries in the NFL this year, so yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, glad we're just done with Leeds and Elland Road and that pitch for the rest of the season now. But it's another tough one on Saturday, Jake, Old Trafford. United scored 9 on Tuesday night against Southampton, albeit they played against 10 men and then 9 men for long spells of that game. But listen, I don't think there's any reason why we can't go there and be confident. You know, we've won 4 games away from home in the Premier League for the first time since 1985. There's certainly competition for places. There's lads who'll be feeling great about themselves going into this one. Feels as though we can go there and really do something positive.
And honestly, everybody is beatable this season more than ever. And if we went and, you know, it's not going to be the same intensity as last night, but if we go, we can go toe to toe. I think we'll learn some mistakes from the cup game, especially. And I felt like that game, Falco just absolutely Cavani, just absolutely destroyed us. And we just did not know what to do and how to handle that. But yeah, I don't know. We can't go into games this season feeling like you can't get a result, because if you're going to get a result from the places that have been on your back for however many years, this is the season to break those. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure the formation that we're going to go for. I don't think we'll see the same as last night. And in all honesty, I don't even know what to set up, but I'd be going in hoping to get something out of it.
Yeah, come to you, Sarah, on that selection. Obviously, James Rodriguez wasn't even on the pitch at any point on Wednesday night. That's going to be an interesting one, that is it, to see if he comes back in, because while United aren't as energetic as Leeds, it'll be harsh on maybe someone like Sigurdsson or Iwobi to take them off the side, because, you know, maybe not Iwobi so much, but Sigurdsson certainly played his part in a really important win on Wednesday.
Yeah, and you know, Jake made the point earlier in the show about how I think after the Newcastle game, people probably had quite a different opinion on, you know, the performance that day to what we saw against Leeds last night. And yeah, on that basis, it would be harsh to see him dropped. But that said, you know, you've got the fresh legs, you've kept him rested. It's nice that we've been able to be afforded that luxury of a fresh James Rodriguez coming in. So it will be interesting to see what he does there, because, you know, Gomez as well. I thought Gomez was absolutely fantastic. It should be an interesting battle between him and Bruno Fernandes as well. So yeah, but it's definitely a nice feeling knowing that we've got a well-rested James to come on. And and I feel confident in however we go there and set up. And yeah, I'm not saying confident that we definitely will get a result, but like you said, I know they beat Southampton 9-0 the other day, and we saw all kinds of mad stuff going on in that night of football with the red cards and the penalties, and United were obviously on it. But let's not forget they lost at Old Trafford to Sheffield United a couple of weeks ago as well. So it's that kind of season, as we've referred to loads of times. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see who he does start with, but yeah, I'm confident that we can go there and get a result. Say if we went there and got a point, then you take the Newcastle game out of the equation, and we're right back on track again. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about it, actually, considering they've just won 9-0.
Feeling good as well, Mike?
Yeah, why not? Like Jay said, everyone's beatable. Some weeks it'll be Everton, some weeks it won't be. And why not treat every week like it won't be? Because if there's one season to just go and set out the game plan to take points off teams, it's this year. You've got to go and do it. I found it quite interesting, as you said there, James wasn't used at all during this game. And that to me is very interesting, because it seems that Ancelotti is finally sort of finding the balance of which players are right for which type of games. Because obviously, Gylfi Sigurdsson, I mean, it's obvious the way I feel about Gylfi Sigurdsson. I've said it for so long now, but he plays semi-all-right football when he plays as number 10. You can trust him in that position, but any other position on the pitch, and it's just going to be painful to watch. And there's
Mike as well. I just think on that, I think it was clear that he was asked to do a job on Phillips as well, wasn't he? And that's for all James's ability. That was something in the home game where that lad just had all the space in the world, didn't he?
And that's it. Like, when you have specific tasks that you need a midfielder to do, that is going to be about running hard yards and tracking back and shutting down opposition midfielders, Gylfi Sigurdsson will be your man there in that 10. When it's not quite it's not a playmaker role. It's almost like a third extra midfielder. It's just a little bit more advanced. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with James in this game, because you have players in that Manchester United team who are very, very good on the ball. You just got to look at someone like Bruno Fernandes, Paul Pogba. There's lots of very good midfield players. Be interesting to see if he decides to go toe for toe and say, right, you've got a player like Bruno Fernandes who can just flip the game on a switch. We've got one too. Let's see who wins it. Or we'll go with the more regimented approach of saying, right, Gylfi, you've got to go there and you've got to disrupt and do those sorts of things, because that's the sort of job that Sigurdsson has excelled at Everton. I remember it might have been him doing a job on Jorginho at Chelsea quite early on, a couple of seasons ago. Those sorts of jobs he seems to do quite well. So it'll be interesting to see the way he plays that. For me, I just go and just say, right, let's just go. Let's try and win the game, because if you can win the game with someone like James pulling the strings, playing those 1 or 2 killer passes that can net you a couple of goals, if you can win that game, suddenly you are right back in it. And this is the time of year where it doesn't matter about winning games down the stretch. If you don't win games now, we've all done the dead rubber Everton who win 3 or 4 games on the spin in April and May. Win them now. Win them now and give yourselves a chance. Don't go into that thinking what could have been this season. Go out and try and take points off these sides. Don't settle for, we'll sit back and see what we can get. Go out and try and win points.
Yeah, and I think any result, because we've still got United away, City away, Liverpool away, Chelsea away, and Arsenal away. And I think with those games to come, if we can get any kind of result here, it just gives everyone that bit of extra relief going into those potentially tough games between now and the end of the season. I just read some comments out before we finish. Live Avid said that pitch was like watching the players. It was like watching Todd Carty on Dancing on Ice. I don't get that reference. Does anyone?
Yeah, I do. Remember he off, what was he off? EastEnders or something, and he slid off.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean now, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. What was his name? He was off EastEnders, something Fowler, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, I get you now.
Wingo's 8078 said also has not put a foot wrong. Last night he was excellent and he brings a calm we haven't enjoyed for a while. And we'll finish on this one, Neil. I'm sure he's having a laugh here, saying there was a certain fella watching in Istanbul saying I could have scored that Dominic Calvert-Lewin chance. He wouldn't have got there. He wouldn't be able to get there, would he?
No, he wouldn't.
Not a chance.
He wouldn't. Like, are we even gonna just no? I can't. I don't want to think about it. He's gone for 6 months. Let me enjoy 6 months when he's gone, and we'll address his spray on hair when he gets back.
We will do that. We'll do a podcast special on Cenk's spray on hair when he gets back. I'll get Mike on for that. But yeah, thanks very much to Jake, Sarah, and Mike. That's been your weekly show here on the Blue Room. Of course, we'll have loads of stuff coming out before the game against United this weekend. Rob's doing a kickabout today with Hannah and Ryan Reynolds all over the world, that one. So that should be an interesting one. Do check that out as well. I've got a match preview on Blue Room Extra and Mailbag as well. And if you want to hear more from us, come and join us on Blue Room Extra and multiple Everton shows every single weekday, building up to and looking back at all our games. It's patreon.com/the Blue Room Extra. But in the meantime, thanks very much for watching. Cheers for listening.